Hello, Daily Drafters. Today is Wednesday, November 24th, and thanks for joining me for today's Daily Draft. Today we'll be drafting Innistrad Crimson Vow and trying to put an end to this little losing streak we've got going on here. See if things can turn around for us today. See what we opened here. Consuming Tide, 4 mana. Each player chooses a non-land permanent they control. Return all others to their owner's hands. And when you do, you draw a card for each opponent has more cards in their hand than you. Unfortunately, not really something we're looking to take this early or really even play. It's a bit too finicky. It doesn't deal with what you need dealt with on the board. It's not the same as a Wrath because they can just be left with their best creature on the board, which is not good for you. Good, Arm the Cathars. I've talked about this card. I like it. Imprisonment has actually gone up for me because of this bomb-heavy format. You just need things to deal with those creatures on the other side of the battlefield. So there is a Spiked Ripsaw, but green has been pretty underwhelming for me. Not much else to speak of. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and take the removal spell over the Cathars. This isn't something I would have done on day 1 or 2 of the format, but this isn't day 1 or 2 of the format, and things have certainly changed, right? So let's see here. Another underwhelming pack. Lots of blue. Let's see. Haven't seen this in play. Seems a little bit slow for this format here. If we wanted to stay white, there's a Drogskull Infantry, which is fine. There's a Grizzly Ritual. Another card that I wasn't high on early in the format is a 6 mana clunky removal spell, but here we are, needing removal to kill things. There's a Scattered Thoughts. None of these cards that aren't white are really pulling me into another color here. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of the top white commons and just see where this takes us here. Scattered Thoughts is something I'd like to play. Syncopate's a good card in this format, but let's stay white here. All right. Curse of Hospitality. I think we opened this or had it passed to us before, and I've talked about it, but it's kind of a win more card. Like if our creatures are dealing combat damage to a player, then we're already winning. So we don't need a 3 mana enchantment that does literal nothing if we're on the back foot. Voltaic Visionary is actually a card that I haven't played and I passed a few times, but I have liked in some of the practice drafts that I've done here, but there is just a Flame Blessed Bolt, and removal is so important. This could be wrong. The Visionary could certainly be the correct pick here. But I feel the need to take the removal. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. Okay, so we've got Celebrants, which has been an overperforming red card. Statuette, which is really good in a blood deck. And Retribution, which is really good in a vampires deck. Same with Socialite. So lots of red-black vampire signals here. White is drying up. Heron of Hope is a fine card. But I don't think it's as good as really any of these other black or white cards in the pack here. So do we go with Statuette or Retribution? I don't think we're necessarily married to white here. These cards are fine, but not really something that we need to hold on to for dear life. So this is a close pick between Statuette and Retribution here. I'm going to go ahead and take Statuette because it makes the blood token that needs to get things going in that black-red deck. So, and then there is an Epicure and a Socialite, and there's also a Runebound Wolf. I've really liked green-red in this format. It's been one of my favorite archetypes. 2 mana 2/2 that has enormous upside in green-red. Now, if we take the Wolf, we're basically giving up on these 3 picks, which is not the end of the world. We could also just take Socialite, which would kind of give up on the white, and then Epicure could kind of go in both decks. But I think the Wolf is better enough that I'm willing to speculate on it here this early, just in case we get a lot of green-red passed to us. Like if we get a Wolf Strike next pick, I think we can almost assure that green-red is the open deck here. Because here we go, right? So red card's unplayable. White card, unplayable. This one is fine, but not outstanding, right? Best card in the pack is Hookhand Mariner, which goes great in the Wolves deck because it's a werewolf, right? So I think it's an easy Hookhand Mariner, and I'm looking to see if we can get into green-red. Okay, 2 fine green-red cards, not outstanding. I think I would take the creature over the non-creature. No to this, no to this. Heron Blessed Geist is fine in certain decks, and Rallier is just whatever. Syncopate's good, but let's go ahead and see if we can find our way into green-red. Magma Pummeler. This card has wrecked me a couple of times. It's a little bit difficult to set up, but if you just drop this and they're trying to attack you on the ground, it's just very difficult. Combat math becomes quite difficult with this on the battlefield. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. Fortunately, it's the only green or red card left in the pack, which is a little bit disconcerting, but I think it's the best card in the pack either way. Siphon Essence, good. Shield Basher, good. I think we'll just go ahead and take Witch's Webs as the combat trick for this green-red deck here. Really like Massive Might in green-red. This is a good sign. I think if you are green-red, you want a copy or 2 of Massive Might. Don't know if we'd play 2 Witch's Webs, but we'll go ahead and cut green. Really good pickup there. It doesn't really fit in to the whole Wolves theme that is green-red, but it's fine to see that late. This card could be playable if we run a little bit short, and then we'll just go ahead and pass that there. Alright, so we opened an on-color rare for green-red. Let's see what it is. 4 mana, 3/3. When it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target. So between that and the Pummeler, we have 2 effects that do that. 2 mana, it gets +2/+0 till end of turn, and the backside is just a nightmare to deal with. So I think that's a very easy Ill-Tempered Loner here. Unfortunately, there is a Rending Flame in the pack, which we would love to have. I'm not sure we've actually seen this card in any draft we've done in the first 8 drafts, but here it is. Really good removal spell. Maybe one of the best in the set, not including Bleed Dry, which is obviously the most important, but we're happy with an Ill-Tempered Loner here. Here's a Wolf Strike. There's also a Wolfkin Outcast. Those are the 2 cards I'm really considering here. Lots of Evolving Wilds going around. Let's see. So it's a 6 mana 5/4, although in our deck it's very likely to be a 4 mana 5/4. And then if it flips, it's a 6/5 that can start drawing cards. There's also removal, which is super important. I don't know what to take here. This is difficult. So this is an uncommon. I think I want to go with the uncommon over Wolf Strike. This could also be wrong, but I think there's a better chance we see another Wolf Strike in this draft than this. I think this is a little bit more irreplaceable because of its rarity. Speak of the devil, there's another Wolf Strike. So it's a 3 mana 3/3, or it's a 5 mana 3/3 flash that flips into a 6/3, but the 6/3 is still a body that's not outstanding. Reclusive Taxidermist, great, but not necessarily a wolf. Weaver, and Wolf Strike. So this time I actually am going to go ahead and take the Wolf Strike. There's 3 cards here that we could wheel. Interesting to note, there's 0 red in the pack in pick 3, which likely means our neighbor to the left, or 2 to the left, took a red card. Because the rare is also missing, and that could be any color, but there's very, very likely a red common in this pack that's gone. So, interesting to keep note on. We might have to fill out our green with this pack. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and take Reckless Impulse here. This isn't a card we played a lot on the channel here, but in a red-green kind of aggressive-looking Werewolves deck, this is basically a 2 mana Divination, 2 mana draw 2. And the time you want to be casting this is basically the first turn you miss a land drop. So you can cast this, hit your land drop, likely cast another spell, and then use the next spell the following turn. This does get worse the more combat tricks we run, because if you flip a combat trick, that's pretty unfortunate. But I'm going to go ahead and take a Reckless Impulse. Another Wolf Strike, another Ridge Wolf. Not another, but our first Ridge Wolf. This is difficult. So we have 8 creatures out of 15 cards right now. I don't think we're running the Statuette in this deck. Everything else seems fine. Maybe a second Witch's Web wouldn't make the cut. Let's go ahead and take the removal spell. Again, I've talked about the importance of removal in this set. I think Ridgewolf is something we could get a little bit later because it looks like the person who's in red to our left isn't in specifically red-green wolves, so which is what we're trying to get into here. So let's take the removal spell. Another impulse and a sharpshooter. I don't know if I would play 2 impulses, and I don't even know if I'd play 1 sharpshooter in this deck. Let's take a look at our curve. So we do need some creatures on 3, but yeah, you know, I'll go ahead and take the creature. I think if we want an impulse and second impulse, we could get it, but creatures could be important here. Another Magma Pummeler. All right, so these double Magma Pummelers and Ill-Tempered Loner can really give us some reach here in the late game. And I don't mean reach by able to block flyers, but reach as in, like, if we get them to 2, 3, 5 health, we could kind of force a block that kills them with these creatures. So we have a Villager and a Sure Strike. So I don't mind playing a Sure Strike, but again, I want to just fill out our creatures because we only have 10 right now. We want to end up somewhere in the vicinity of maybe 16 or 17. So I'll take the creature. Don't want to play any of these cards, but I'll cut red. None of these either. So the Stalker did come back. That's great. Really, really good pickup for us. I'll go ahead and cut red. Another Massive Might. Don't know if I think I would play 2 and then maybe cut a Witch's Web or 2. All right, here we are in pack 3. Let's see. We opened 1 mana 1/2 with Menace. You can exile 3 cards from your graveyard to make a 3/2 wolf. Sorry about that. There's another Wolfkin Outcast, which I would love. Goodness. Another Wolf Strike, which I would happily play. So I think it's between the Wolf Rider, the Outcast, and the Wolf Strike. I'm going to go ahead and take the Wolf Rider here. It isn't a wolf, interestingly enough. But if we trade off, which we're likely to do with this deck, this can just start pumping out more wolves, and we do have a Runebound Wolf to take advantage of that, right? Let's see. Flourishing Hunter, Brambleworm. I don't know if this is a Brambleworm deck. 7 mana for a 7/6. And I think just because of our nature of wanting to be wolves, I mean, how many cards do we have that care about wolves? Is it just the Runebound Wolf? And the Outcast? I guess that's it. It's not actually that much, but I think this is a little bit more grindy of a card, maybe blue-green or black-green, something like that. But we're looking to be a little bit aggressive, and I want to try to see if we can get a 6-mana 6/6 down. Another Prisoner, not another, but our first Recruit. Mulch is a no. See Consuming Tide going around the table, our pack 1, pick 1, or our option that we saw is the rare. Boarded Window's an interesting card. I think people are misusing it. It only goes in certain decks, and it might only be a sideboard card. It can be very good out of the sideboard, especially if you have 2. But it has one of the lowest performing win rates in the entire format, which is interesting. I think I'm going to take a Weary Prisoner, but not be too excited about it here. I don't think I want the Recruit. This is a Werewolf. Go ahead and take that there. Child of the Pack. Absolute amazing pickup for us here. 4 mana 2/5. You can pay 4 mana to make a wolf, and if it flips, it's a 5/5 with other creatures. 5/5 with trample. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. So, I'm gonna go ahead and slam Child of the Pack here, and I think that means we found the right colors for our seat, and we just have to hope we get past some red and green cards to end out this pack. Well, there are some red and green cards here, but not really ones that are super exciting. I think I'll go ahead and take Spore Crawler. Honeymoon Hearse has really not been great because it effectively has crew 3 or crew 4, but You can't even do it with one creature. You have to do it with two. Haven't liked Millipede. This doesn't really go in our deck, so let's just take Spore Crawler here. Maybe we play it, maybe we don't. Here's a wolf, a 4-drop wolf, a Nature's Embrace. There is a Ceremonial Knife, which could be interesting because this deck doesn't have access to blood, and blood has been very, very good. Our deck is a little bit aggressive. We can give a +1/+0, and then just start pitching all our extra lands past land 5. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the knife here. Scorpion, don't know if we really want that. And things kind of drying up here. So, interesting. So, are we the only red-green drafter at the table? Well, this could answer our question. Very much so. Let's go ahead and take another one of these. Maybe we play a Sure Strike, but at this point we have 5 combat tricks. We could definitely get rid of at least one Witch's Web. I think we may actually be the only red-green drafter at the table. So, we just got a little... I feel like the power in red-green wasn't really open. So, we could have gotten a little bit more power in this deck if we'd been a little luckier with the power that was open, but I think we found the right colors for our seat. I don't think anyone else is in red-green, so... So I think between the options of Sure Strike, double Massive Might, I'd rather play as many Massive Mights as I can before I get to my other copies. I have to take a look at our curve and see if we even want Toxic Scorpion, but we'll do that after our last pick here. Alright, let's get into deck building here. So we have 28 right now. We are running 19 creatures, which is a good count, but let's see what comes up here. So first look at our non-creature spells. Double Wolf Strike, don't know how that got in there. I think I like all of these. So if we cut 4 creatures, we're down to 15. So maybe we can consider cutting one more card from here, but let's see. Double Outcast and the Hunter's fine. Maybe we don't have space for the Celebrants. Maybe we can cut a single Prisoner. Maybe the Scorpion. Yeah, let's go ahead and cut these 2. And a Prisoner. That leaves us with 16 creatures. These are kind of more up here. So, unfortunately, looks like we really, really missed out on 2 drops, which is likely going to be a very bad situation for this deck. Yep, because if we try to play into the late game here, we just don't have the power, right? We have a couple of good rares, but they're not the ones like Flame Blessed Demon or whatever those toxic sludge creatures are that just basically come down and force a concession, right? So we don't have any of those. So if we play too far into the late game, we could just get owned by one of those cards. But, you know, this is what we ended up with. So, double Massive Might, Reckless Impulse. I think I want to give this card a shot. I haven't played it yet, so I want to try it. Sure Strike could be the cut so that we don't go down too low on creature count. We do have a lot of high drops, but I think they're all good. We could cut another Weary Prisoner. But, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut the Sure Strike. This does leave us with 17 lands. We could consider playing 16, but I don't... With as many combat tricks and the equip for the knife and a couple 5 and 6 drops, I think I want to start by running 17 and see where we can go from there. So, fortunately looks like our lack of 2 drops could be an enormous hindrance in this deck here. But let's hope we can get through that. Alright, before we get into this first round here, I just want to let all y'all know that tomorrow we'll be taking off for Thanksgiving. And then we will be back on Friday for another daily draft. We'll let everyone go ahead and celebrate Thanksgiving tomorrow without feeling the need to watch a video. So go ahead and remind you at the end as well, but let's go ahead and get into our first round here and see what we can do. All right, so we're on the draw. I don't think this is necessarily something we can mulligan. We have both our colors. We have a couple of creatures, although our curve isn't outstanding. Although something I've mentioned, that our curve won't be outstanding. Our only 2-drop in the deck being Runebound Wolf, so... At least we do have 3-drop, 4-drop now. Traveling Minister has been a really, really good card, right? It's also, see the combo you can do with Griff Rider, you can train your other one, and then the following turn you can give this one, train this one, and then at that point we're just about dead, right? So, I don't want to equip right now because that's all we'd be able to do, so let's go ahead and attack because we can't block the flyers. They are getting priority, which means they likely have a massive might. So something to keep in mind if we need to start blocking, but I mean this turn we're taking 6 and then the following turn we're taking 7 or 6 more, so yeah. So we're dead in 2 turns here. And there's their own Mariner. Doesn't have reach. We kind of get owned by removal. If we attack all, they don't block, we play a creature. But, you know, we have 2 turns to win this game, so we don't really have much of a choice here. So a 2/3 Menace or a 3/3, we'll just go ahead and play the 3/3. And then end the turn. So they're attacking for 6 in the air right now. 7/8 with the Massive Might. So we're not technically dead unless they have 2. Oh, they're attacking for 7 in the air. So we'll go ahead and block this one. Try to save it. Although they're probably going to save theirs as well after we do this. Doesn't really matter because we're just going to die to flyers. So. Oh, they just kill us with our own Mastermind on the Griff Rider. Oh, well, they miss lethal, which is at least good for us. We'll go ahead and top deck another land and die. Turns out flyers are good. Yeah, so we made a really, really bad mistake with the drafting of this deck and not prioritizing 2 drops. Unfortunately, that was on me, you know. I mean, here we are, you know, 5, 4, 4, 6, 6, 2 lands, don't even have all our colors. We have to mulligan, and we're probably not going to end up with much of a better hand here. So we do have our 2-drop, 2, 3, 4 if we want it. We'll keep 6. I suppose we have to get rid of the Massive Might here. So draw 6 drop instead of our land, so hope we top deck another land here. That's not quite it. They likely have a braid. There's our land. Let's go ahead and get in there. Still no plays. They have an instant, but they're just not playing anything. Okay, yeah. Makes sense. Okay, so we can trade with the wolf. They deal 2 to us. If we attack with the sharpshooter, they remove a counter and deal 1 to something. So I think we can go ahead and train this as well. So they'll basically trade for the wolf here, which is fine. We were kind of already expecting that to happen. So at least we got a training trigger. Okay, so they will play removal. At least we drew a knife that we can start pitching all these non-lands to. So I think if we don't draw a land, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the pummeler here. Yeah, we just need to... Not only do we need a land for that, we need specifically a mountain. So we'll go ahead and miss our 4th land drop again, pass the turn. 3 lands in the top 13 cards. Sure. Nice. So we can play a 4/4. We can play Child of the Pack. 2/5. Which would we rather die if they have another removal spell here? Probably the Mariner. Let's just play our 4/4 and see what happens. If they attack with a Hypnotist, they clearly have a trick here. We can't block that anyway, so we'll go ahead and not block so we can leave our removal up if they do try to go for a trick. They'll kill it anyway. We are starting to kind of find our way out of this land situation. I don't know if it's going to be too little too late though. Let's see here. So, Flame Blessed Bolt not really lining up very well on this board, unfortunately. Let's see if they attack with Hypnotist again. Yeah, so they have probably like Sure Strike or something. Again, I'm going to leave up removal because this is one of our better creatures here. What we can do is we can pass the let's see, first of all, I'll see what they do and then we can talk about what we'll do here. Okay, interesting decision to do that post combat. Well, not really, because they have a trick, so they're trying to get us to block. Another menace creature. Alright, so what we can do here is we can activate this at sorcery speed past the turn, which would flip day to night. And then we would have a 5/5 and a 3/3/2. Which hopefully they couldn't deal with. Our Bolt's still looking pretty awful. We could play just a 5-4 and then do that next turn. I think that's what we need to do here. They're going to attack with everything again because they have probably Sure Strike or something. So we're going to have to get that out of their hand somehow. But Wolf Strike might be the way we have to do that. So let's just go ahead and add to the board here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if they have Sure Strike, we're just dead. Because they can sacrifice both of these, make these unable to block, get in for everything, and Sure Strike it. Let's hope that's not what they have. Okay, they have a 5-5. So if they sacrifice both blood, oh, they probably have the vampires. Yeah, retribution. Okay. So we're priced into blocking the hypnotist here. If they don't sacrifice a blood, and if they do, then we basically just die. Yep. Sure. And we're dead. Yep, so this draft is showing you the importance of taking 2 drops. Because we try to start going into the late game and playing against black decks that can just remove all our creatures and keep attacking us, and then we just go ahead and die. So, take 2 drops, please. So we'll play our only 2-drop in the deck, followed up by Spore Crawler, likely. So we have removal backup if we need it for their 3-drop here. Looks like they're leaving up removal. Or they just literally have no plays. Do we even care about that? I think so. I don't think we want to give them a... Well... Yeah, I don't know if Wolf Strike's going to get much better than this, so we'll just go ahead and remove it. So right now we can do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not good enough. That's fine, because we have double Massive Might. So right now we're dealing them 3. Yeah, we don't need to play the other one. This is how this deck's supposed to play out, right? Curving out, playing combat tricks, pushing through damage. Would be better with more low drop creatures, but... And that should do it. Just in time for us to draw all of our lands and probably have 3 more on the top, right? So... They were a little bit slow out of the gate, but, you know, we'll take advantage of that. Let's try to rally back here. Ugh. So we do have a turn 3 play with Reckless Impulse at the very least, where we can play this, hopefully hit a land, play that land, and then cast a creature off of it on the back. So for that reason alone, I'm going to go ahead and play it. Let's play the knife, and the next turn, before playing a land, hopefully I remember, we can play the Impulse here if we don't draw 3 drop. We did not, so let's go ahead and cast it now. Hit 2 lands. It's pretty good. So next turn... Well, yeah, if we play this land next turn, we can't play any of our creatures, which is awkward. Ay, we have enough in our hand. We don't really need to take advantage of that. Like, we need to get a creature on the board. Yeah, so we can go 4 drop, 5 drop, 6 drop here. At least we use the Impulse to clear 2 extra lands off the top. Blue-red with a Ridge Wolf. Maybe just looking for a density of 2 drop creatures for them. Whispering Wizard, that could be a little awkward for us, but let's see. So are we willing to trade this? It would be a straight up 2-for-1 if we do. So let's say they blocked with the Wizard, we would trade and kill the Ridge Wolf, follow up with the 3/3 that does the exact same thing. Or we can try to flip this tonight. And if we, at some point, flip this tonight, it gets insane. I think I want to go for that upside, because even if they use a removal spell on it, we can still 2-for-1 them by killing something else, right? Just make flying... Yeah, so let's do this. X equals 3. And now we can start throwing damage all over the place if this somehow gets to night. Alright, so I poo-pooed Curse of Hospitality earlier in the draft. Let's see what it does on their side here. More lands. I think we'll just go ahead and drop our 6/6. That gains 3 life. And they have the perfect answer. So we have found 6, 7, 8 lands so far. Don't have too many left. Oh, they steal our cards. That's nice. Well, here, have that land. I don't need it. So we can cast both of these this turn. I think we'll go ahead and do that. They could threaten to mill us out by just attacking us with spirits this whole time. Now I want to go ahead and flip these. Which might be a little bit too slow, but here we are. Alright, so they drew a removal spell. And a card draw spell on a creature. 2 of our better hits on the deck, so that's nice. Well, turns out this may not be so bad if you have flyers, which we don't, so yeah. They're just basically drawing 2 extra cards a turn. Thinking hard here. So they will remove it. I think we need to get rid of the wizard. Okay, so now we get to kill probably the villager. Okay. I think I want to flip it to night right now. So what I'm going to do is put it on here. And can we attack? I mean, gosh, I don't even know. You're drawing 3 more cards next turn. I mean, we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we attack with the villager, and if we don't, we just sit here behind taking 3 a turn, and then drawing 4 cards a turn. And we'll hold off. Three lands. Oh, there's 1. Have another Runebound Wolf that they can start hitting us with. Alright, well, look, if Curse of Hospitality, like I mentioned, if they didn't have any oh, they flip it right back, that's nice. If they have, didn't have any flyers here, I don't think this would be doing really anything. But because they have a couple of flyers, they're just destroying us. So, yeah. We're just gonna, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They draw 3 more cards. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't really matter what we do. Which is a little bit of a, what's it called? A conflict between the color red not having flyers, and maybe pairing it with blue to give you flyers, something like that. because that's what they did. They got the Flyers from the Wizards, so maybe a red-blue deck is the best home for this. Certainly not red-green. So yeah, what are we doing here? Let's just go ahead and end this one here. All right, well, another 1 and 3. So here we are. It's basically our life now. Went ahead and built up a lot of coins for the channel, but I'm sure I'll run out of them soon enough at this rate. We're gonna run out of drafts here if we keep this pace up. So, it looks like that'll do it for today's video. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you on Friday, skipping tomorrow for Thanksgiving, for your daily draft.